Hi folks, in this video I'll show you PandaDoc's advanced approvals and teach you how to set up conditional approvals for your particular business use case. Advanced approvals work both on an individual template level and in scope of a workflow. Let's start with the template first. Go into workflow, set up approval flow. You can have several blocks. Each block is called a condition. For this particular demonstration, I only need one block. And this block can contain several rules. In addition to the old approval triggers, you can now check any attribute of any quote on your document. And you can have either an or an and operator. Before I set my rules, a quick reminder about the quote data fields. You can go into Edit Quote and create any quote data field you need. In this case, I have a selected products quote data field that I have created, and the deal owner will need this one for later. You can have profit margin, section name, quantity. You can check whatever in your approval rules. Create the data fields that is needed for your particular use case. In this case, I'm going to be checking whether selected products contain a Pro plan subscription. And in addition to this quote data field, I have also created a rule that extracts the selected product in this data field. The syntax might seem familiar, so if line items have a line item that has a non-empty name and is selected, we are going to extract its name into a quote data field. And this rule absolutely works. You see how the quote data field updates in real time after my selection. You can have as many quotes as you want on your document. So in this case, I have a quote 1 and quote 2, just to show you that you can set up approval rules based on attributes of any quote. So in the quote 2, I have an attribute, a data field called test, and that I could have checked as well. Let's write a new rule. We are going to check that selected products contain Pro. Add condition, save, and let's test this. We are going to use this template to create a document. The Pro plan subscription is selected on the document, and this is gonna trigger approvals because my approvals allow to select the approval. I am going to select an approver, and the document will go into approvals. If for whatever reason I'm changing my selection, so we're gonna back to editing and select the business plan. And I want to send my document for approvals, right? But because no conditions are triggered, the document is auto-approved. And now Let's take a step further and see how this works in scope of a workflow. So I'm using the very same template in my approvals workflow. I have several steps here, and this one is going to connect it to my CRM. This is going to be a quote, and this is going to be a document. Just like with conditional content, please do remember that the quote block you see on the document template is not the one that will be created in scope of a workflow. It will be replaced with the one here. So although you need to go into your template and create quote data fields, you will have to recreate them on the quotes tab again. So I have my template. I have already set up the data field called selected products on it, and now I'm going to recreate it on the quotes tab. So select products, data field. Make sure to go into your quote rules and create the same rule. So name is not empty, selected is true, and update selected products with the product name. Make sure that it works. It does work, right? And now going into the document, data mapping, you are going to see that you don't need to map the quote data fields onto the document. They are mapped automatically as long as the names match. So the quote variable selected products is going to go into the document automatically, and the same goes for another one I have created for demonstration purposes. It's called deal owner. So let's check another thing in our approval rule. Let's go into the template again and set up another rule in our condition. We are going to check that the deal owner, and that is a deal owner from a CRM, contains, for example, my name. Add in a new condition. And as I'm pulling my deal data from integration, I need to make sure that the appropriate field goes into the quote data variable. Going into the quotes tab and looking at what goes into, oh, I haven't created the deal owner data field yet. Let's go and create it. Deal owner is a text field, and now I can map it from a CRM. So I'm mapping data from the CRM. Pay attention, in this case, a deal owner is a text field, but this is a contact. We cannot map contacts onto text fields directly. So you have two options where you can parse the contact at the form level, or you can just extract the name or a surname of a deal owner from a text field, another text field from HubSpot, which I'm going to do in my case. So I search for an attribute that will match. In this case, just the first name will suffice. You could use last name, email, whatever. So the first name, I'm going to map onto deal owner. Now it's time to publish my workflow and check whether advanced approvals work the way I intend them to. We're starting a workflow. Because we have two conditions that can potentially fire at this point, because the Pro Plan subscription and the deal owner. Let's check them one by one. So I'm gonna select a different product so that I don't trigger my first condition. I see that my name has mapped into the deal owner variable. And now I'll go into creating a document. And at this point, it's supposed to go into approvals, right? And it does go into approvals because, well, I'm the owner of the deal. Let's stop at this point and change the deal owner. And start another workflow. Again, we'll skip the preliminary steps and go straight into document generation. What needs to happen now is we're going to skip approvals and go directly into sending a document by link. And this is exactly what happened. Because I opted for sending my document via link, I have links generated here. And the third potential way it could go is, well, Vasil is the deal owner, but we can still trigger the condition that sends the document into approvals when you select a Pro Plan. So we are going back several steps in the workflow and selecting the Pro Plan subscription. And the document goes into approvals. So that's how you can create a sophisticated approval flow that is triggered by any aspect of the quote you would like. And not only the quote aspect, but also any field from a CRM, any field from a form. I link to our support article in the video description so that you can start building your own approval flows.